Thanks, God, I said. And is it even okay if I don't paragraph my letters? Sweet cakes, God said. Who knows where she picked that up? What I'm telling you is yes, 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 yes. This poem, written by Caitlin Hout, has me thinking about my own questions for God, the answers of which I know would proclaim a resounding yes. And I am reminded of a time in my life that really whispered no. I was 35 years old and feeling trapped by circumstances. I didn't know how to change my situation without great upheaval to my precarious life. I was living in New York City, which I hated, with my husband who not only hated living there too, but was depressed because of it. And he was losing touch with any connection to his bright spirit. He insisted on staying for his job with the hope of a transfer closer to the wilderness, which fed our spirits. The bright part of my life was my job as a full-time mom to our 4-year-old daughter. And also, it was lonely, and my husband was unavailable and becoming more and more sad and angry. I felt like I was walking through my life very carefully so as not to fall flat, with blinders on to not really see my life and how gray it had become. I was afraid to make a change, but I was not really living. I was not saying yes to my life. I was not proud of how I was spending my one wild and precious life. And then I got the diagnosis. I had ovarian cancer. I got surgery and chemotherapy and a choice. I could continue along in my half-alive habitual ritual of days going by, blinders on, but that would be the choice to die. I knew when I opened my eyes after the surgery, which confirmed the malignancy, and I saw the scared and sad eyes of my husband and my mom, and the concern of the doctors and the nurse, I knew in every cell of me that I was choosing yes to life, to really being alive. And I pictured that word in big capital letters and bright colors, each letter its own individual page. I didn't know for how long I would have the opportunity to say yes to my life, but I was going to do it that day and every day that I drew breath. That change in orientation 25 years ago to yes, that commitment to life changed everything. To be all in. Laura explained to me this week that the term all in is a poker move where you put all your chips in, you bet all of them. You hold nothing back. It's risky and bold. It requires trust and maybe a little bit of arrogance, like saying all in to our one wild and precious life. I am aware of the interesting timing of this sermon and this call to say yes to life during a time when we are confronted with a lot of no's. No visiting outside our household, no traveling, no hugging beyond those we live with, no singing together, no gathering for community, no worship together, no arts events, no dances, no music concerts, no potlucks, It is an extensive list of no. As we come upon the anniversary of 1 whole year of constant vigilance, of not seeing each other's smiles in person, of saying no, we may feel that we don't have any chips left to throw into the middle of the table, all out. And that is why I myself need this reminder that I am still alive, still engaged in my wild and precious life. It is not on hold, though I sometimes feel that way. These words from Howard Thurman inspire me. He says, despite the dullness and barrenness of the days that pass, if I search with due diligence, I can always find a deposit left by some former radiance. But I had forgotten. At the time it was full-orbed, glorious, and resplendent. I was sure that I would never forget. In the moment of its fullness, I was sure that it would illumine my path for all the rest of my journey. I had forgotten how easy it is to forget. There was no intent to betray what seemed so sure at the time. My response was whole, clean, authentic. But little by little, there crept into my life the dust and grit of the journey. Details, lower level demands, all kinds of cross currents, nothing momentous, nothing flagrant, just wear and tear. In the quietness of this place, he says, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of God, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or in foul, in good times or in tempests, in the days when the darkness and the foe are nameless or familiar, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. To what do you commit your life? This wild, this precious, this temporary and quickly moving stream of a life. Saying yes to life, committed to being all in, also requires saying no to some things, to pettiness and disrespect, to oppression and injustice. Father Richard Rohr, Franciscan priest and founder of the Center for Action and Contemplation, advocate for the need for both an inner contemplative life that spurs action for justice. He writes, all I know is that there is a deep okayness to life, despite all the contradictions. Whatever your personal calling or your delivery system for the world, it must proceed from a foundational yes to life. Your necessary no to injustice and all forms of unlove will actually become clearer and more urgent in the silence. But now your work has a chance of being pure healing instead of pure anger and agenda. You can feel the difference in people who are working for causes. So many works of social justice have been undone by people who do all the fighting from their small or angry selves, rather than from their commitment to life and to love. Carter Hayward responds by saying, love is the choice to experience life as a member of the human family, a partner in the dance of life rather than an alien in the world or a deity above the world, aloof and apart from human flesh. I come back to Howard Thurman's line, I can always find a deposit left by some former radiance. When I read those lines, I stopped and I closed my eyes. And I reflected back over these past days looking for moments of radiance. And there popped up the afternoon I spent with a dear friend, ending up on the shore of Lake Maury in the late afternoon. The ice was glowing. My spirit was too. And the morning when the sunshine poured through my windows and the best song came on my playlist and life welled up and danced me through the sunbeams. And awakening in the night, noticing outside the trees casting moon shadows across the shiny, unbroken snow. And then the far off call of a pair of barred owls harmonizing. At the time, these full-orbed moments confirmed my aliveness, my connection to all that is. And I couldn't imagine not feeling this fullness. But the dust and the grit and the lower level demands, the barrenness, the day-to-day isolation, the fatigue of it all, the weariness makes me forget sometimes. But I remind myself of my commitment to all in. And I imagine that I can be risky and bold, a little arrogant, and with some trust. And I hear these words from Brian Andreas, who said, anyone can slay a dragon, but try waking up every morning and loving the world all over again. That's what takes a real hero. And then my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. When life is easy or incredibly hard, when I experience the resplendence of being here, or when I feel frightened, closed, and alone, when I am surrounded by love, or when love feels far, far away, may I not forget that to which my life is committed. Life, yes, open heart, all in. So may it be.
Keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open. Those waves want to push you around. Though the waves want to push me around. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open till my faith brings me back to solid ground. Till my faith brings me back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open. Though the waves want to push around. Though the waves want to push me around. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open till my faith brings me back to solid ground. Till my faith brings me back to solid ground.
Welcome to Let That Music Flow Through You. And I invite you to close your eyes now and begin checking in with yourself. These big life events, like Rev Jan shared with us, that call us to answer yes. Have you had one? Perhaps decades ago? Maybe like me, you're currently living it. If you were to take your hands now with the echo of the music we just heard, inviting us, invoking us to keep our hearts wide open, let your hands come in front of your heart space and get a sense of how open is my heart right now. Sense it, feel it. Can you choose to let your heart be wide open? More echoes from our song. The waves want to push you around. What are the waves of emotion sucking you out to sea, dumping you on the rocks? Allow, sense. And then there's the winds of thought that buffet us about. Tune into those all the time. Sense of yourself in your heart space. And finally, envision that faith is bringing you back to solid ground. How does that look for you? How does it feel? And closing with a commitment to keep your heart wide open, keeping fresh before you your high resolve.